Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of Insight to Action, where today I'm for the second time bringing on a student guest who I'm going to introduce in just a moment. Hannah is happy, shouldn't say happy. I am happy that she's going to be joining me, and her last name, which I just got corrected, is Hannah Toth. But I'm going to bring on Hannah in just a moment. But for those that would like to learn a little bit more about Talk Shop and the programs that are specific to college students or specific to high school students, feel free to reach out. The website will be on your screen in just a moment. So all of that put aside, I'd like to welcome in Hannah Toth. Hannah, first of all, thanks for taking the time to being my second student guest on the show.
Hi, it's good to be here and I'm excited. I am happy to be here, so it was okay to say that.
Well, good. Then I didn't speak out of turn. I'm going to do my best to do a little intro for you, but really the best thing to do is for anyone that comes on, for them to share their own background instead of me trying to make it up or try to get my facts correct. But currently, you're a student at Arizona State. And also, you and I recently met just a few weeks ago because you've also got an intern with a rather, pretty cool looking company. So all that being said, if you wouldn't mind just giving us just a brief recap what you're studying at Arizona State, and then after that, just some of the experience and maybe or where you're working right now.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm a senior at Arizona State studying sports business and business law with a certificate in data analytics. So I took on kind of a lot, but I'm still graduating a semester early. I'm graduating in about 2 weeks. Um, which is really exciting. My background really revolves around sports events, really. I had a position at the dean's office for the engineering school at ASU that was working with graduation, sports events, sponsorships, and anything we do to thank donors. And that was a great position, which was a good jumping off point to my internship with Swidzinski Management. They do charity events for professional athletes, so I kind of travel the country, helping in whatever way I can, whether that's the sponsorship sales, planning the event, organizing volunteers. And from there, I had asked John because due to COVID, he had to suspend his business operations until 2021. So I had already signed up for an internship class at ASU. And that means I needed 120 hours in this fall semester of an internship that had to do with sports. So I called John and I asked, hey, do you know anyone who's hiring? I'm not finding anything on the websites I know of, and my network really isn't finding anything. And luckily, John knew Sharon, who's the founder of Field Experience, which is a fantastic company. And Sharon said, actually, yeah, I could really use an assistant. So that's how I got that internship. It was definitely a who you know kind of situation. I'm really grateful for it. And Field Experience, just a little background on them. They're a startup company, tech company, but they also work in sports events. So I'm still kind of doing the same thing. But on top of that, I'm also helping Sharon with mostly administrative work. I help find sales leads, anything that with a startup company, you kind of end up having your hand in every pot. So I kind of do anything that they need me to do. It is mainly administrative, this position, though.
Well, first of all, there's a few things that I want to pick up on. You said it's kind of who you know. I want to definitely pick up on that because I heard you say that. But before I do, I almost feel like I should say, look, Hannah, give us your email address. So all of these people that are going to watch it, at least the 3 people that will watch this, should send you a graduation gift. You said you're graduating in a couple weeks, so that's a big milestone.
Well,
Kidding, maybe not kidding all at the same time. Anyway, what I wanted to do is pick up on something that you mentioned. Look, your network you're not finding information on or not getting anywhere as it related to an internship search for you, but you obviously did get a conversation with someone. What was it, or how did you present yourself? What was it that you think or maybe you got some feedback on after that caught that person's attention to say, yeah, I'm going to make an introduction for you? Because I think that's a pretty valuable share if you're willing to do that.
yeah, absolutely. So the biggest thing that someone taught me a couple years ago actually is that you need to nurture your network. it's like watering a plant. So you don't just call people when you need something. You don't meet someone and then call them 2 years later, hey, I need a job. Because I think of it as, how would that make you feel if you're in the business world and you to get a call from someone who hasn't talked to you in years? You're probably going to say, hey, I appreciate you calling, but I'm not going to help you out, because how do I know you're reliable if you haven't been nurturing this contact? So that's the big thing, is check in on people, help them, do something for them. And so when I was calling my network, it was mostly, I was able to find internships, and people were very willing to help me. I'm really grateful for people that I've met in the industry. But unfortunately, a lot of the positions that we're hiring were outside of the sports industry. This was all going on during about May, when sports work shut down. We had layoffs, and unfortunately, the last thing a lot of these companies are thinking about is their internship opportunities. So
Right.
that was just, it was an unprecedented time. I'm really grateful to the people who tried to help me out, and luckily John was able to find me an internship in the sports industry, so everything worked out.
Yep.
And yeah.
Again, as I listen to what you're saying, is I do my best to listen. As I always like to tell people, be careful when you listen, because you actually might learn something. Just a quick little nugget I want to put out there. I'm doing my best to listen to you, not only to think, hey, my next question that I want to ask Hannah is coming up, but if there's something you just shared with me and I want to pick up on that, I want to do that. And the reason I'm just mentioning that is same thing during an interview, whether it's formal or informal. Don't be always so concerned with the questions you're going to ask, because if you just listen to someone carefully, the conversation might take you in a different path, and it might be a productive path. So anyway, coaching hat aside for a second, you mentioned it. It's like, look, you got to nurture those relationships. And I'm just going to nod in complete agreement that that is a valuable insight that you just shared, that anyone and everyone should take advantage of, because it's the easy part. It just takes some effort. I always like to rephrase it, and I'm not a financial guy by any stretch, but you have to invest before you can ask for a withdrawal. Same concept. You stay in touch with your network, even if your network is small. And if someone helps you, and in your case, it was a gentleman named John, let them know. Hey, every now and again, do a little check-in with them. Not every day, maybe once a quarter, whatever the case might be. But it's a really good point that you made, and I just wanted to hammer it home, because I think it's a fantastic piece that, quite honestly, a lot of people miss. And it's an honest one to miss. But if people can make a habit of staying in touch with their network, it strengthens the relationships, and then you know what can happen from there. So, sorry, now I'm on to my next question. I wanted to kind of reiterate a few things here, because I love those points. Hannah, do you understand for yourself now, and this isn't to try to make you feel bad if you don't know, and it's okay. Do you think that you yourself have a brand right now? Meaning, what's your brand?
That is a really difficult question. I'll be honest with you. My brand is a little all over the place right now.
Totally normal.
For me, I absorb experiences. I'm still very young because I'm in college.
Yep.
And I started volunteering in politics. I started doing things in the computer world for data analytics. My job experience is what revolves around sports events, though. So those three things are not, well, computers and sports events aren't that unrelated, but for the most part, three very different fields, right?
Right.
And so my brand, I think, in a way, it's a benefit where I can make a resume for any job and maybe not for sure get a call back, but I'll know that that resume definitely fits the job description because I have experience in something, you know?
Absolutely. And I didn't mean that question to, again, it's not about making you feel uneasy or uncomfortable or, hey, I'm not there yet. The reason I was asking, I should have mentioned in the front, in the spirit of the question, is a lot of people don't realize that they are their own brand, and it's okay. Creating and having a brand for yourself is something that it's in progress. It's going to evolve, and it actually might change multiple times being that you're on the very, very front end. Look, you're a few weeks out of being a college graduate. So that wasn't to make you feel bad. I was
Oh, no,
bringing it up
no, it didn't
because,
at all.
no, good. Because again, having your own, understanding what your own brand is. And if you don't know, work with someone like myself. Sorry, bad little, plug there. But understanding what your brand is, and more importantly, once you understand what your brand is, which will evolve, how to protect it and how to articulate what your brand is to others, because that is a really big step when you're going out into the work world to interview or to network, is to be able to articulate who you are. What's your vision? What's the impact you can bring to a company or to an organization? How do you share your unique story? And I always share this with people, is some people might not know what the business acronym CMO stands for, and it's for Chief Marketing Officer. And I always tell people, look, no one is going to be any better at protecting and putting out your brand than you will yourself. And that's a really important and huge way to differentiate yourself, especially right now for college students, because everything is digital right now, virtual like this. But if you can share your story and you can lock it in and clearly communicate it with confidence, huge differentiator. So sorry, I didn't mean that to be a rant. I wanted that to be some helpful information, and I hope that helps.
It is. Thank you.
Perfect. All of that being I wanted to just talk about branding. That was kind of my segue into it. And yours is evolving. I wanted to just see if there's anything that you can share, because you've had multiple internships and you're in one right now. When you were interviewing or networking for those, did you get any feedback after you were brought on saying, hey, Hannah, this is what sparked our curiosity or interest in you? Any feedback that you were given at all? And what are you willing to share?
I have gotten that a couple times. I think probably the strangest one was with Swidzinski Management. I never had an interview for that internship. What actually happened there was they had an event in Phoenix with Archie Bradley on the D-backs, and I volunteered to help out. And I was so excited to be there. I wanted to make a good impression that I was bothering him the whole night. I would say, hey, what can I do? Do you need this done? Would you like this table over there? Anything that I thought of that, oh, this would look better, or this needs to get done. If I saw something that needed to happen, I would go do it. And if I wasn't sure, I would go ask him. So I was following this poor man around the whole night. And the next thing I know, I am packing up one of the boxes for him. And he comes up, he's the CEO of the company. And he comes up to me and he says, Hannah, do you need an internship? And I said, yes, sir, I definitely do. And he goes, well, all my volunteers and all my staff have already left. It's just you and me. And I look up and it's the people who work for the venue and me and John cleaning up this event. And I didn't even realize, because I was putting in the work. I wanted to make the good impression. And I also wanted the event to go well. Having had experience in events before, that's something I care a lot about. So that was probably the one that was the best feedback for me of, okay, work gets recognized in a lot of ways. You don't know how that's going to help you out. You hear in the college classroom a lot, or at least I did, that treat a volunteer opportunity, treat an unpaid internship as if it is a real job. And that's going to take you a lot farther than you think it will. And I'm the living proof of that. I mean, without this internship, I would not have gotten the next one. And I'm seeing my career path unfold based off of that volunteer opportunity that for everyone else there was a one-night volunteer opportunity.
Hannah, that was an absolutely fantastic little nugget you just dropped there. And I'm just going to repeat it because it's worth repeating. Maybe I should actually have you repeat it, but you don't know what I'm talking about yet, do you? But it's the point you said of treat every internship just like you should treat every conversation like it could go somewhere. And so you back it up even further. You're already in the role, but treat it. I should just have you reframe it because it's coming out of your mouth. It should come back out of your mouth. But that comment is extremely valuable for any college student right now. So anyway, you want to repeat it or just do your best to reframe
Yeah,
it?
absolutely. Treat every opportunity like it will result in a job.
Yep. So I love that. And I even want to back that up further because treat every conversation like it might be an opportunity also. So same point, just treat every conversation like it really is going to lead you to something, because you never know, it might. We're getting close to the end. We're kind of rounding third a little bit. I'm holding you up just for a second before I wave you home. Just a couple more questions left. Thought I'd bring in a little baseball analogy since you mentioned D-backs earlier. What kind of questions, whether it's an informal meeting or you're networking with someone or it's a legit interview, what kind of questions make you uneasy?
Make me uneasy. Oh,
Yeah,
that's
just like that, where there's that, oh my God, here comes that typical interview question. It just makes just a little unsettling or uneasy for you. Maybe it's, I don't know how I should answer it.
right.
I don't, whatever the case might be, but are there any questions that make you uneasy as it relates to an interview question or when you're networking with someone?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think for me, where do you see yourself in 10 years? That
Mm-hmm.
one always makes me so uncomfortable because I am the type of person that, as I've said earlier, I want to absorb as much experience as I can, right? So I have no idea where I will be in 10 years. It all depends on kind of where
Right.
I'm led. So that question just, it always weirds me out. You feel a kind of responsibility to say, oh, I see myself higher up in this company, or oh, I see myself, even if you're not in an interview, you sometimes will be speaking to someone, in my case, at an event that's, oh, what are you doing after college? Oh, well, I hope that I'll be working for this company because you're currently working for that company.
Right.
Um, but in my opinion, I don't know what I'll do after college. I don't know where I'll be in 10 years. And I know I'll work hard. I know I'll use the skills that I've learned and hopefully learn more. And that's really the only way I can answer that. So that one, that's a big one for me.
You know what? I'm just going to give you two thumbs up because I don't prefer that question either. That's the nicest, most mild way I can put that. But for those that are listening and just for yourself that are college students or college grads or you're in the process, you're going to get a variety of people that will interview you. Some of them might have a little more tenure and may not ask that type of a question. And there's nothing wrong or right with the question necessarily. I think that maybe more behavior-based questions are easier and it shows a lot more about the person, shows a lot more about the character of the person. And I'm a big believer in people should hire the person, not the paper, meaning they're not going to look at a resume and say, oh, perfect credentials, I'm going to hire you. But I agree with you. Those types of questions are a little uneasy. So thanks for sharing that. I wanted to ask you kind of as we wrap up, before I ask you to give your own commercial, meaning information you'd like to share about yourself, people that might see this and say, hey, I want to talk to Hannah and I'd love to talk about a job that I've got coming up. I'm going to do that last. But before I go there, I wanted to see if there was any questions you might have of me. I may not have all the answers, but I wanted to ask as a career coach and a communication expert, I wanted to see if there was, I just call myself an expert. Wow. Someone who focuses on communication. Let me rephrase that. If there's anything you would like to ask of me as it relates to networking, branding yourself, or a career search process, I thought, hey, let me see if I can help you with anything while we're here.
Yeah, absolutely. So looking back on your career experience and having gained some more, what do you wish your soon to be graduate self knew?
Ooh, boy. Now, I don't want to answer a question with a question now because, again, if I put myself back there, the landscape is completely different. And you're going to hear that from someone of my age. It's just, but that's my natural reaction is there was no technology, and technology can be pretty powerful as it relates to a job search and with anything in life. It's still what I would share with myself is it's still the things that don't cost you anything, and it's attitude and effort. I would say those are the things that can't be coached. Those are the things, and you mentioned it earlier. You hustled, you worked hard because that's what you wanted to have a successful event. I was just nodding to myself, saying, "Yep." In the back of my head, I tell that to my two kids. I tell that to all my coaching clients. If people see that you've got the right attitude and you're putting in the effort, those two things oftentimes can't be taught and can't be coached. Those are huge separators. So that's kind of, if I put myself back into my shoes there, maybe I would have doubled down on that element alone. I hope that answered your question. I hope I didn't evade it.
Yeah. No, absolutely. That was a perfect answer. Thank you.
Lastly, and I again appreciate you taking all the time to share your story and share some insight. Is there anything that you would like to do? Let's say this is the Hannah Toth. Hope I got it right. No,
Yes,
Toth. Toth.
yep, you're right. You're right.
I got it
Yeah.
right the first time. I second guessed myself. Rule number one, never second guess yourself. Is there anything you would like to share in terms of, hey, here's how you can find me on LinkedIn. Here's some industries that I'm looking to pursue as I move down the road. If there's anything you'd like to do to kind of give an infomercial, if you will, don't be shy. Promote yourself any way that you would like. Now's an opportunity.
Sure, absolutely. Well, hi everyone again. I'm Hannah, and
Right.
you can find me on LinkedIn. I think it's just at Hannah Toth. Um, right now, I'm looking for any experience really in the sports industry. I'd again absorbing as much as I can. Things I don't have that much experience in yet are sales and marketing. I would love to gain more experience in those areas. So please feel free to reach out to me. Also, if you're a student and you want advice for getting involved on campus or finding internships, feel free to reach out to me. I keep my messaging pretty open. I'm fairly good at answering my messages, but it might take me a little bit. But I promise I will answer if you need some advice.
Got it. And I put your name so people can see it and the spelling of it. So if they want to capture you on LinkedIn or any other social media platforms that you might be on, they will have it. And hey, for those that don't forget, she's graduating in a couple of weeks. Send her a little gift, something, just a little plug there for your graduation.
Thank you.
Hannah, I appreciate you taking the time and sharing your student perspective on your career search and the great things you've done. And I know this might sound trite to say, but keep working hard because you've got some great experience already. And we look forward to staying in touch.
Thanks so much. I appreciate it.
All right. You bet.